Hi, I'm Scott Herbst. I am founder of Six Flex Training and Consulting, and you are listening to or watching The Flex. This is a show where we talk with people who are expressing leadership with the intention that it give you access to expressing yours. I'm really excited today to have Andrej Klokner of Klokners Consulting with us. We're going to go a little bit outside of what we usually do today, in that Andrej is a coach and consultant, and his company helps owners scale and grow, and do it by really getting intentional and precise about how they use time and manage accountability and follow through. I personally have a personal stake in this one, because when I encountered Andrej, I was in this place where I was running my business and I hadn't taken a vacation in years, because it always looked like I just don't have time. I'd look 6 months ahead and think, oh, I'm going to take a vacation then. And then 2 months out, think, okay, I have time right now. And going through the process and the coaching that Andrej provide really actually helped me get a clear vision and start to grow and find peace and freedom and ease and a lot more fun in my business. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now. I've talked way more than I usually do. Andrej, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm just looking forward to this conversation and to ride the energy, ride on the energy that we always create in our conversations.
Awesome.
And
So,
if
hey, here's where I always start. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. I didn't tell much of anything about your background. Tell us a little story about how you got to do what you're doing.
uh to start with, I was always worried about my own performance. That's what led me into this conversation. Back like 16, 17, I remember sitting on the bus to Volkswagen factory and wondering like how those people can really perform like those machines all the time. And I was like, with my emotions and being overwhelmed by them and by all the demand from the parents and so on. And a long story short, that drove me to study HR, work as an HR director for one of the biggest companies as a country director, not knowing anything at that time, but not knowing it, that's more important. And that led me all the way to the working in a military-like environment where I was running not only HR, but like the operations,
Yeah.
creating the standard operation procedures in the 40 million business. And then I realized in the middle of that journey that maybe actually I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me, so I don't have to beat myself for the performance itself. And that's actually the exciting part where I'm just when I'm working with the businesses, I realize two things. Number one is that now the time has come a couple of years back that actually it's up to me now to build it for myself and work with other founders to build their businesses. And second thing is that when looking at the people's performance, it's really rare and unique to approach people from the place that everything is okay with them.
Yeah.
Because there is one big pitfall in this industry of ours is that people go or the customers come into the inquiry or the request for training, coaching, or setting, rescheduling, reshuffling their business from the place like something is wrong.
Yes.
And it's a massive, massive, massive difference because then you're not constantly putting the patches on the business, but looking, and this is what is the most important for the founders, is that what I'm paying attention to and what the opportunity in the scaling the business is not about necessarily working more in the business, because you and I, we know that we've been already working in the business too long,
Yeah.
and why it's not growing enough, or why it's not having the opportunity to expand, evolve at the personal and also as the company level, is because we don't have enough opportunities for us to work on the business.
Yes.
And that's the truly main value. It's not so much like, what the magic tools and all of these things. If you want the knowledge, just go to ChatGPT. But it's the opportunity to shift the context and also be in an environment where you're learning faster and stop inventing the wheel. inside of the limited amount of time working on the business?
Yeah. I want to so I want to start there because and I know people when they listen to something like this, they are looking for like, tell me what to do, tell me what to do. And I think that's where uh you talked about starting from there's nothing wrong, and that's a contextual shift. One thing I found really powerful about working with you was that you don't start at, well, here's what you do. I actually started looking at, well, what is the way of looking at the world that you're inside of, that you don't even see as a way of looking at the world, that
Mm,
then tells you first, even that, oh, I gotta do, I gotta do, I gotta do, but then really gives you what there is to do. You with me?
mm, absolutely.
It's a
And
little
it's
different language than you would use, but so I want you to start by talking about that contextual shift,
mm,
how you challenge people to look at their business and really their whole life differently than they're used to.
great. So let me name the framework,
Yeah,
like the scaffolding that is holding this whole conversation, and then it's easier for us to go into the shift. So
awesome.
what is really valuable in the performance and productivity when people are approaching this conversation for a first time, or when they are already hitting the wall, they want to produce more, they want to do
Yeah.
more, rather than of realizing what is the condition in which my performance is happening, what is the scaffolding I'm standing on.
Yes.
And this work is a lot about creating the condition in which I can perform. One simple example:
Good.
you're listening, or we're talking, just look around your desk. What is the condition in which you're performing? What are the things there that are taking away your attention as something to do or think about that is not related to the present moment that we are having right now?
Yes.
If it's just the coffee that you finished, it's straightforward. After the call, you're going to take it away. But hold on, if there is a newspaper or envelope with the bank statement that you need to review, uh-uh, that just, even if it's a millisecond and you can feel the impact right away, is that, hmm, you have the heartbeat right away going up because you didn't review the bank statement. Is there some issue there? Da, 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 da. And the little millisecond taking you away, it's a banded scaffolding on which you're standing that doesn't allow you to be 100% with what you're having in front of you. Now, one of those conditions, what you're mentioning, is the shift, the contextual shift, and the contextually human brain, it's wired that we want to get it all done.
Yes.
And other examples would be like, we should get it all done, and that's something, by the way, nobody has, it's a label that we are using in this language or in this conversation, and no, very few people can relate to, like, oh, I should get it all done. Well, no, maybe not. I know when to stop. I know when my to-do list is good enough and I'm leaving, and I'm fine in the evening. I'm not so unpresent. I know it could be better, but so what? But when it really hits you, is that when you realize is that there is 5 o'clock, you should go home, and you promise to your wife, partner, or kids, like, okay, yeah, I'll be home at 6 because it takes me an hour to drive or just get home. There's a 5 to 5, there is email from your big client, once more, work. And you're like, just one email. It's 6 o'clock, you're late. And then you come home and you're just judged against the expectations or even the outright promise. And all of a sudden, there is impact of you trying to get it all done, or that anxiousness when you cannot fall asleep because you're still worrying about what should happen, or you're just putting the earphones in just to listen to another podcast, just trying to get more information in so you don't fall behind.
Yeah, I want to, the other side of that is because this is something I see people do. but ineffectively. It's like, okay, that email comes in at 5 to 5, and people are like, nope, like 5 o'clock, I'm done. I'm going to answer that tomorrow. And though, like when people draw those hard boundaries, a trap I see people fall into is that, sure, they don't answer the email, but they go home and they get home by 6, and at 6:30 they're hanging out with their kids thinking about the email. So it's like
Perfect.
they're there in body and their head is completely somewhere else.
And that's what is valuable in this conversation is that when I was in the military environment, running the big operation or supporting the running the big operations, and you realize is that producing results is one element. That's something like you're at home at 6 o'clock. You're probably then just not far from it, and that is the element of the human experience, and what is powerful and what is potential, what is where the biggest potential inside of the addressing the condition in which our performance is happening is to address there is a performance and there is a human experience
Yes.
while we are addressing, and it's way easier to recognize when you're running on autopilot. And one of them is that when you're trying to get it all done constantly is that when you get the email or phone call, or when you're constantly checking the CNN or the emails, which is the really common thing, that you just cannot let yourself stop. Or just one really simple thing, have you had a breakfast already?
I haven't, no.
Okay, good. When you're gonna have it, just try one simple thing. Uh, don't do anything else, just eat.
Yeah.
Even if it's that, if even if it's 5 minutes. I literally, when I trained myself and trained my team, I literally had to sit on my hands to be able not to scroll anything, don't switch the lights, don't try to organize anything on the table,
Don't
and
turn
don't
on a
try to.
podcast. That's the hard
Ex-
part for me. I'm like, I want to like, yeah,
because you should get more done.
be doing
Exactly.
something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Actually, I don't think for me, if I'm honest, because that's my weakness, is like I'll just listen to a podcast while I do this. There is something, it's like it's a distraction. Like for some reason there's this but I think it speaks to what you're saying. For me, I can feel this pull is like I gotta be doing something, I gotta be doing something, like I gotta be doing more. I gotta be
Mm.
doing more. So I'm sitting eating lunch and it's like I gotta be doing more. I gotta be doing more.
And what is actually, Scott, what is useful to acknowledge at this point, I just realized, is that it's okay. It's about the recognizing that it's not something that we are choosing.
Mm,
Then we have the freedom to do something about it. Rather, keep on continuing. And this is not one of those conversations when you should, when you're listening to this conversation, is like, oh yeah, I should do more. I should beat myself. How come I didn't see it? No, it's fine. Now we can see it. Now we can recognize it. And some people have ADHD. Some new generation is coming to the workplace with a shorter attention span. Look, this is what it is. Okay, now what do I do? What can I do to alter the condition in which I'm performing?
yes.
And one of them is stop beating myself that I will not get it done or get it all done today. There are some things that will not get done. Now, what do what
Beautiful.
do I what
Wait,
do I
can I underline something?
please?
That was a big deal what you just said. That I'm going to recap. Most of us start from the idea that I'm going to get it all done or I should get it all done. And in that view, like I'm going to get it done or I at least should get it all done. That gives us this, well, just one more thing, or what else can I cram in? And then leaves us, because you said there's getting things done, but there's also the experience, just leads to that experience of I'm not doing enough. There's something wrong here. There's etc. And am I getting that right?
Exactly. And sometimes I'm getting the argument like, oh, people say like, yeah, rationally, I know that I'm not going to get it done. I'm not stupid. I know that. But the thing is that, again, performance, results, rationality, if you wish, and then there is a human experience which goes deeper into the emotions, feeling, thoughts, and the experience of it, like how we are experiencing as we are living this day and night. We know that we shouldn't get it all done, but how come that I'm anxious or angry or when somebody passes me on the highway, and I just go on automatic on the horn? Come on. Then if there is nothing driving me into this reactiveness, then it's a good starting point. That's what there is to address.
So it's a contextual shift of one realizing, oh, I'm trying to get it all done.
Yeah.
And if I'm trying to get
And
it all done, it's got to be in a context of I can get it all done, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And what is really powerful to recognize is that, okay, if this is all driven automatically, because I haven't chosen any of these automatic reactions, like, there is a notification on my phone or on my computer, and I automatically go there and check. It's like, hold on. If I'm not driven, if I don't have to be driven all day long by this reactiveness, what would I choose now? Once I have the notification, just this upcoming
Yeah.
one. I don't have to do it for a whole day long. I don't have to do it for a whole hour. I don't have to do it for the whole week. No, no, no. Just the next one.
Yes. That's
What do
awesome.
I
That's a
choose?
really good place, I think, to start getting into then, well, what do you do with this? Right? Because I think, I mean, one thing you
Wow.
hear is, oh, like I'm gonna stop trying to get it all done. Well, maybe then I'm not gonna get anything done, right? But you just said now you're at a place where you can actually choose. So can you talk a little bit about the process of choosing?
Yes, well, inside of the whole model, it's very simple actually. Just get it all out of your head, and that's what we've done to start with. Because most of the time we are living in the haze of everything, and there's just too much reactiveness, and then we're just putting up the fires, and then we realize that we're missing the oil or need to change the oil in a car after it's instead of that indicator is not orange but red,
Yes.
because it's already fire going on, literally like just putting on like the emergencies. It becomes an emergency. So then when we are not living all the time by those emergencies, then we have a freedom to choose actually what is important, what we're going to do. And we start to realize like, hold on. The first thing is to just write it down, get it out of the head.
Yes.
And then when I'm not in the place of being constantly pushed against the wall, then I can actually, and I'm looking at the paper, what is there, all those 15 to dos, then I can choose really what is going to be in my calendar and what I'm going to do, like what I'm really going to do, where there's going to be evidence, somebody can really take the camera and see me doing it, versus and separate it from everything else what I'm not doing, even though I should be doing it. And
Yes.
that allows for a human brain to be number one, have the opportunity to be powerful, to say what I'm gonna do and do it, even if it's just one thing that will get completed. Everything, if whole world falls apart, but if this one thing is gonna be sent or studied or read through or analyzed or the campaign is gonna be completed, wow, what a power my word has got. The second thing is that there is a freedom. So during just this time, when I schedule the time for me to do just on this one thing, even if it's 2 hours only during the whole day, and the whole day long, I'm gonna be reactive. But those 2 hours, I'm gonna have a freedom to say no to everything else. Number three is gonna be the peace of mind, which is connected with the actually having 100% myself available to what I'm doing
Yes.
right now, what is right in front of me, and a little bit of joy, maybe just get a little bit of spark in what I do because I chose it.
Yeah. Let me let me summarize a little bit and check in. So, uh you got to a place like, okay, I'm not going to get it all done. But then there's taking an assessment of, well, what is all of it, right? Like what is this all of it we're talking about? And so that's an exercise of actually writing it all down, get
Mm,
getting everything that there is to do out of your head here so you can look at it.
mhm. And that yes, that includes all think, I wish, I want to, I must, I need to, da 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 da. Da. All of
Yeah.
it. Just write it down.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I've seen when I did this exercise, I really went through. And when I say I really went through, like I went through that stack of books that, like, oh, I'm gonna get to this someday. I'm gonna, and I wrote down names of books that I had on my shelf.
Mm.
Um, I've seen other people, because I went through as a group, not get that particular with it. Um, but then I don't know, I kind of want to talk about that. I got to be mindful of time. Um, but so then it's like you get it out, then you can look at it. And when you can look at it, then you can actually say, all right, I'm doing this and I'm just focusing on this right now. Versus when it's all in your head, it's like kind of like it's all there at once. And that
Mhm.
I think is where it leads to, like, I'm working on this thing, but it's like, oh my God, what about that other thing and that thing? And it's actually pulling my attention away from whatever it is I said I was going to do here and now. And when I get it all on paper, that's where the choice comes from, or at least where it starts to come from. I know there's more to
There are
manage just
there are
that.
two things to point out. When you start to write down everything what you have to do, and what is on your plate, quote unquote, it's like onions. The first layer is gonna be all the fires, all the emergencies. The second layer, if that one is off, the second layer of that onion is gonna be all the things that would be actually important, that are important, quite important, but you just haven't paid attention to it,
Yeah.
which might be like the self recovery, taking rest, doing some strategy work with lots of founders. That's the issue, or with team leaders. Make a plan, or look, what is the priority for this quarter, let's say. And then there is a third layer, that is like all the nice things to do or nice to have, if you wish. It's like tidy up the cellar, going through the stack of documents, going through the emails, or just reorganizing maybe the office. But like nice things to do, but like they haven't even had the capacity to think about it, honestly. So that's first thing. And the second thing is what you were saying is that, okay, when I have it all written down, okay, fine. How do I recognize what's going to go into my calendar, what's not? Well, people go into the one pitfall, which there is available right away. Is that, yeah, they just took the to-do list and they just dump it into the calendar, and they're like, ah, done. I've done it. So that's how I know. And the thing is to really get flat-faced with one reality, is that whatever you achieved so far in life, whatever nice relationships you have, whatever accomplishments, whatever computer you use, it took some time. It took some many minutes, or so many hours that you had to invest in it, to put it into that action, to be able to produce the results. If you have a girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, okay, it took some hours to be with that person and to build that relationship. To actually realize certain outcome. Now, what I'm pointing to is that action and time go together. They never go along. So instead of now going back to the example with the calendar and dumping to-do list there, it's just not working, because the fundamental premise is to recognize that, okay, actually it's not gonna get squeezed in into the calendar, and that's where it starts to be. It's not complicated. It's just hard to recognize that there are some things that I will not get done, and it's must for me to say no to myself first. That's the most difficult, and then to others. This is not gonna get done. And when we are talking from the perspective of the team leaders, or somebody who is responsible for more than just myself, is to communicate that if it's not going to get done today, then when? If at
Yes.
all. But with many of the team leaders, like founders, it took me for ages to actually stop dumping things onto the assistant with the expectation that she needs to get it all done, because in their head it was like, yeah, it needs to get done. But hold on, if you really go through that list, what she has to do with you, like the person that works around you, VA, or just people on in your office, and when you just let the team leader to go through the list, what they have on plate, because they don't use the calendar, they just go off the to-do lists, then you realize that, okay, actually, this is not relevant, this is not relevant, this is not relevant, and you can just cross it off for them. And that's the first place to start from, recognizing that this is not going to get done. Don't waste the time on it.
Yeah, this is great. This is now getting into, I think, leadership. And it's not like the fun, sexy part of leadership, because people think leadership and they're like, oh, set the vision and, carry the flag or whatever towards it. And really, like, leadership, or the fulfillment of leadership, is about delivering results. And there, like, you got to manage things. Like, you got to manage things to sustain leadership over time. And what I love about what you're saying is that this requires scaling these practices so that it's not just you prioritizing, but that the team is prioritizing and staying in communication about these priorities, about breakdowns, about, well, okay, we said 5 things, and realistically, there's space for 3. What 3 really,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and when you're looking at this, like, we can talk for ourselves, right? The brain can hold only few priorities that is gonna happen. That is gonna happen. During the next quarter, and the brain doesn't have a resistance and avoidance to all those changes. Even if there are three of them only. Now imagine that many people have, many companies have like 10, 15. It's destined to fail, because the human brain cannot manage so much resistance. Now, remember that we haven't done the work to actually get ourselves to be present and really available. So we're still waking up into the world of like reactiveness and that haze. And there is lots of just transactional conversations and transactional work that needs to get done. Send the email, the respond the phone call, and so on. So then coming up with some priorities, it's just like fixing the patches. And it's all that. What is most difficult is that it's done only for my own department, if you wish. But like what I'm dealing with in the company is like, if there is a sales and delivery department, now imagine that they set up their priorities on this transactional, really bogged down and reactive, like literally, like being a mole who just does his own priorities and he's ready to crack on. Then realizes, hold on, but doesn't align with anybody,
Yes.
and expected to be expects to be rewarded as far as his commission and all of it, based on just his own performance without any consideration what does the other department do. So this work has got a potential in the first place to start from actually cleaning up the thing, recognizing what the scaffolding we're standing on, and now, are we solid, are we clear what we have underneath? Can we go? Can now are we going to choose, or somebody else? And then all of a sudden it leaves you with like, oh, I heard all the arguments from the other department. Then I heard my own one. Actually, I was heard and seen, so I don't have to overcompensate and shout more. So other department hears me. No, actually,
Yeah.
now I can see like, this is actually what is the most important for us as a unit.
Yes. So what I'm hearing is that this process scales,
Yeah,
and as a team, you can start with, well, as a team, as an organization, what are like, we could do this and we could do that and we could do that, and there's all that stuff that, like, comes up in meetings, etc. But scaling it would involve taking a look at, all right, we're not going to do all of it, and what is it that we're going to do now? And from there, when you do that as a team, it starts to get more obvious for individuals. Oh, like, this is what I need to be doing to focus on that. And then really using the tools and practices to stay oriented towards that.
Perfect. And everybody is listening or wants to hear the answer. Like, okay, so what do I do? Like, what's next in like linearly, in like one line, like in the time frame? Like, what do I do next? Well, now it actually becomes like really simple if you realize is that okay, if let's imagine today you and I were talking about the quarterly priorities. We defined the direction where we're gonna really march. Everybody was heard and seen. We cleaned up the air. We emptied our backpacks with all the things between us, assumptions and all of it. Okay, good. Now let's do marching plan. What does it look like? Well, let's just put into the calendar the group meeting where we're gonna look at the KPIs, how we are measuring the progress towards that final outcome that we agreed. The second thing is that there's going to be the list of priorities, and the third thing is the question. Okay, for each of us, what do I do in my own department for this particular priority this week?
Yes.
And there is always freedom to say, "Hey, we have the exhibition next week, so nothing." Fine. And if we don't do it for too long, then actually we hold on. We can have a question like, "Are we doing this priority or no?"
Right.
We don't. Fine. Then we just put it on the list of what we are not doing. It's that overarching frame. What I'm doing, what I'm not doing.
Yeah.
Uh, but you can feel the cadence, and there is a fourth critical point inside of those weekly meetings, which are operational slash strategic. Why? Because the head of departments have the freedom to choose. Then, okay, so what is the issue that is most burning right now, uh, which only we can decide here. There's usually the founder is involved in this as well, and then because the senior leadership team or the senior leaders, what they're struggling with is that they need somebody else also to get their input, decision, and so on. So if imagine that inside of those weekly meetings, you have the opportunity to solve where we got stuck right now inside of the quarterly priorities and making the change. At the same time, I just realizing that we are addressing two issues here inside of those meetings. You need to manage on the quarterly meetings. You're usually dealing with on the top of the business as usual, which is the regular stuff, everybody's job description, etc. You're
Yeah.
dealing also the change, and that has to also translate into those weekly, bi-weekly, depends on how many people and what cadence is needed, but also the address business as usual and the change. Usually, the change requires way more coordination, communication, so that can actually lead into the daily huddles, which is not SLT need for that kind of meeting, but it's a meeting between you and your team where you're looking at two things. Number one, how are you doing as a human being? So we're addressing the human experience, and also what is the essential accomplishment today.
Yes. Talk a
While
little about.
as a team leader, I'll just finish this bit. While you as a team leader, what the high level priority is, and how your team is gonna actually complement that. So that's your priority for your team, and then you can just break it down and ensure that your team is actually working on it.
Yeah.
And that way you get the momentum.
Yep. Um, this is really good. Will you talk a little bit about completion and um because completion is a central premise of the work you do. And I think these huddles, however you manage, if it's daily, etc., whatever it is a real opportunity for completion. So just tell us what you mean when you talk about completion.
Great. So the place of completion, I'm looking at it from the place, not where to get to, rather place where to come from.
Yes.
It's a massive difference. So it's not about. I'll just pull some really simplified example. Going to the dentist, right? So when I'm leaving the dentist appointment, I'm complete. What does it look like? There is nothing to do, nothing to think about. How does it translate into the reality? Well, before I opened the door, I paid for the appointment, and they also fixed my teeth or whatever there was to do the cleaning, etc. So the work, there is nothing to do at this moment, but there is also nothing to think about. And how does that translate is that the next appointment is in my calendar 6 months out, scheduled, and not
Yes.
just in my calendar, but also in the dentist calendar. So between now and the 6 months from now, anytime I have a thought coming to me like, oh, what about dentist? Oh, this is a little bit wiggly. I just go into my calendar and I see like, oh, in next 2 weeks, I just need to. They're gonna check my teeth. So the crown that is a bit loose, it's fine, it's in there. And then what happens is that you are available back to what you were doing right in front of you, or to the call you were on right now.
Yeah, brilliant. Um, now, um, oh, what do I want to say? Oh, I just love that. I want to underline that, I guess, that being complete is that there's not just nothing to do, but also nothing to think about. And I've seen that's really powerful for myself in terms of being present. And it was shocking to me how much I didn't realize I wasn't present. And it took using some of these practices to realize that.
Just, but Scott, that is example is just really simplified, and no, some people cannot maybe even imagine what it looks like in the workplace. But it's just like a really simple thing. Imagine how many people write an email and they just press send as soon as they finish without reading it. And then they get the questions, and they have to go back and forth about that email, which was enough just to read second time in the first place, or just read the give it to ChatGPT to tidy it up. The second thing is that I'm talking to someone, and I give them the instructions, what I'm expecting from them, and I don't ask them like, "Can you repeat it to me?" So I make sure that I didn't drop anything. And then all of a sudden you hear like, "Oh my God, what did I say?" Because there's just not they don't copy. It's
Yes.
just nonsense. What they're saying is like, "Oh, thanks God that I actually asked," because they're not gonna work on something that is just like completely out of my intention. Like, what a relief. Now, the other thing is that you start to work with a client. They are small businesses. They want to get revenues in, so they start to work on something without the defining scope of work and some basic uh, idea of the contract, and then they're working their time off, and they don't they want to just provide, they want to please, and they want to get paid, but they are over delivering, and all of a sudden they just the revenues doesn't match the cost, so they're basically losing, and they go into the spiral of not generating enough profit for growing the business. That's back to the scaling.
Yes. Um, we are about at the end of the time we set aside.
I was just looking like where
No,
we are.
so
How
yeah,
we could go on and on
we could
about
go
this.
on and on. Well, before we do, I do want to make sure that people know how to reach you. But before uh, I have you share how to get in touch with you, is there anything else that you just want to share quickly?
No, I got to the place actually
Awesome.
being complete. Like there's nothing to do, nothing to think about.
Awesome. So to recap, here's what we've covered is first a contextual shift of like getting straight, like, you know what, I'm never going to get it all done. And what that makes available is then getting really honest about, well, if I'm not going to get it all done, intentional about here's what I am going to get done. And the access for that is looking at everything you could do, but outside of your head, right? And then as you are completing those things you're going to get done, bringing authentic completion to them, which is that something's complete when there's nothing else to do. Like, okay, I've done everything the dentist has said, and there's nothing to think about. Like, I'm not wondering when is the next time I should go, because that's scheduled. Or if it's not something to schedule, like I've got whatever's in place so that I don't have to think about it now. And maybe in 3 months, a calendar occasion reminds me, hey, give this some thought, right? Take a look.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything to do? Has anything come up? And between those three things, that's about, in a broad way, very broad way, it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to say this: there's a lot more particulates and practices that go into this. So, listeners, it's kind of like you got an overview here. What I highly recommend is check it out and do a little training and get a little coaching. If they're interested in that, Andrej, where can they reach you?
The Klokners Consulting or Andrej Klokner on LinkedIn. Easiest two ways. We can put it in the description of the webinar. And Scott, I'm just thinking about the one thing that can be valuable for everyone in this conversation to leave with, because actually we tapped on the key word in this conversation, which is the choice and power of choosing.
Yes.
And if you imagine that you're here right now, from your perspective, and here is the uphill line that goes to your desired result, business, personal, you choose. And that will require certain set of actions and changing the behavior to work to get yourself into that future. On the other hand, there is, from this current place, there is a downhill line to the, like, red line, if you wish, towards your predictable, almost certain future. That is something that you already know, what you kind of, based on the trajectory you have in life, that will lead you there. It's fine. It's not gonna be fancy, sexy, fast, but it's just gonna be as it always be. And what is really, and this is going back to the question of choice. Right now, you're the closest to those two trajectories, if you wish. You're the closest to the green one as you ever be. So, what do you choose now? And
Awesome.
you can apply it to anything in your life. It's not necessarily business or related, as I said.
Awesome. Andrej, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing with our listeners what you provide. Thanks for, I mean, actually just being there and a partner with me in this and making a difference in my own personal productivity and fulfillment.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate this. It was fun.
Awesome. And to our listeners, this completes this episode of The Flex. As always, leave a 5-star review, click the thumbs up, give us a share, follow, etc. And whatever you do, we will see you back here at our next episode.